Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I am Patrick,
And I'm Paul. How's it going?
and that guy just tried to make me laugh knowing that we were just about to go live, and it didn't work. I have a cold, cold heart, and I'm now saying that like it's a good thing. Hey, welcome everybody. We are going to do the most serious episode of our show ever because we've got something extremely important to talk about. With the dawn of Fast F9, Fast and Furious Episode 9, the 10th movie, because Hobbs and Shaw does exist, we thought we should cover the most important thing that's been overlooked, and that is that with practically no differences, Fast and the Furious is actually just Star Trek.
Yep.
And we're going to
No.
stand over that, Paul, in a very
Yeah.
literal way.
Yep. That's it. We've decided that it's not said enough that these two franchises are exactly the same,
Identical.
completely the same kind of thing, movie to movie, practically shot for shot. Sometimes,
Oh, identical.
like it's just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Completely ridiculous.
And,
But
where the internet is just full of cowards, we're the brave people, Paul. We're the brave people who are going to put our reputations out there on this free-to-use platform that will in no way cost us anything if someone disagrees with us. No, folks, look, we're going to have a lot of fun. If you genuinely think that they are different, trust us, we agree with you. They are different. But we're going to have a bit of fun with how surprisingly similar they are and how many crossover moments that they actually have between each other. And Paul, to kind of give it the starting point, I'm going to go with the fact they both revolve around crews, not cruise ships. I already made that mistake. They're both crews of people. So you've got
yeah,
the Fast and the Furious crew. I've used the picture from the original crew, and then the Next Generation crew. Lots of similarities. Like they're practically the same.
yeah, no, this is look. They're both ridiculously sitting on some. Well, not no. They
To
both have a bald person.
to be
Nope.
fair, and I think we'll get to that because that's the obvious, it's the elephant in the room, people. But they do. They've both got a diverse mix of people with different skills and different talents. They all have a through line. All the people in the Enterprise they're all serious spacefaring explorers, and all of the street racy people are all very street racy, and also criminals in the first film. Everybody forgets that this actually started off as romanticizing crime, but we're going to move past that, and we'll get on to the fact they also both revolve around vehicles. There's a bit of vehicular kind of love going on here. You've got, all the cars, but particularly, let's say, Dom's Charger as the analog for the USS Enterprise. And as the movies have gone on, there have been different USS Enterprises.
Yeah,
So, Paul,
and
there's been different versions of the Charger or its siblings from the Mopar family in the various Fast and Furious films. If you're a supercar nerd, you'll almost be able to see the exact correlation between the original Charger and the Enterprise D and the later used other, like Snow Charger and the Enterprise E. I'm stretching. Don't you? You're in this with me. You can't put
I
me on the
know.
spot.
All I'm saying is that Galaxy class, which is the famous one from Next Generation to the Sovereign class ship, which is the Enterprise E. Kind of thing, which is in the later movies. But yeah, there's very similar differences in the sense that, yeah, the huge big spoiler, the huge big like engine block at the front gets a little bit different as it goes on, and also in the later movies, they also at one point they armor it so that it's like
And
a
he goes to
tank.
modern Charger at one point. I think he's driving like a Plymouth, Super B or whatever. He's the other cars from the family that are all based on the same chassis because hey, he knows what he likes. But folks, if anybody out there had any doubt that they're exactly the same, like look, there you go. The Enterprise and Dodge Charger, practically the same thing. Now, on to the leaders, Paul. On to the captains of the crew, let's say. The front men of these bands, they're definitely both bald.
Yeah, yeah, they are definitely both bald. Yep.
This is where I wanted
Okay.
that voiceover to play, where it's like, and it's at that point he realized this episode may not have any more depth.
Yeah, pretty much. I will say so. Some of the similarities that I've seen between the two characters is they are surprised, like not on Picard's side, but more on Dom's side. He is surprisingly well read and well versed
Hmm.
in certain aspects of kind of history, which is a surprise kind of thing. Very resourceful, both of the characters, and have a very strong and strict moral code that they follow, kind of thing. So like it's it's important to know that they are very similar in those kind of respects. So it definitely makes sense why they would be the leaders of these crews.
And I would love anybody out there. Have you ever seen any filmed evidence of Captain Picard turning down a Corona?
That
He's
is.
he's never refused one. Either has
Mhm.
Dom. Never refused a Corona. Same person. Same person. I'm telling you.
Yep.
I'm actually, you know what? When it comes to driving, Picard, we didn't know this until much later on in the movies. He's essentially Dom as well. He's a joyriding, street racing hooligan who likes mad jumps. Like these two guys, they're practically the same. Okay, Picard looks slightly happier behind the wheel than Don. Dom does quite often. But they've both essentially nearly ruined their entire movie franchises by doing jumps that were inappropriate. But yet, yet we all love them much the same.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, they both. Yeah, because also in the Picard series where he gets he gets even more crazy, more like Dom as well. And actually, technically, he does become a criminal in that one, so there's more similarities there, kind of thing, except on different ends.
One of the other similarities about the two, and I'll go back to the pictures of the crews. These people, they've all been, and it applies to the original series too. They've all been on both sides of the law at different times. In fact, if you take it to the original series, there's entire movies where the entire crew of the Enterprise are essentially fugitives. They're criminals. So they both have a kind of a back and forth with the law. Now, Paul, I promised you a little surprise before. I've got a few buried
Yeah.
in here. I'm switching to a shot of the crews, but what I want to do is call out that both of these original crews have something in common. They both have a person who seemed like they were really important at the start, and then years later, nobody can even remember them until somebody goes, "Oh yeah." And now it's a little unfair for Tasha Yar,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
but I think you'll find if you can name, if anybody out there without IMDbing, even a Fast and Furious fan, if you can name the name of that character, the poor dude from the first film, it's not Vince.
Oh,
Vince is the bad guy over on the far side. Bad
yeah,
guy,
man.
good guy, fallen hero, redeemed himself.
Now, I
Are
have
you
a list
typing?
of the characters. No, I have a list of the characters because I tried to make Van diagrams of like who I think is who, but didn't think of this. This is the one part that I didn't think of because I was
Yeah.
just like, nah, no one's gonna pick
I'm
that
going to
guy.
give it to you. That guy,
This is
Leon. Leon was never heard from again. Others, even got, brief mentions from that first film. But after that, there was no more Leon. Um,
I can't
much like
even.
Yar. Parantasha Yar, she disappeared.
Can't. Dude, this is the difference. I will say there's a like okay, so yeah, they do seem really important and they do disappear. Tatiana just come back eventually. So
That's true. That's true.
in
Ah,
are we gonna get a Fast and the Furious comeback?
I just did weird finger guns towards you there too. This is it. Maybe Leon is going to turn out to be the ultimate bad guy in the final Fast and the Furious. That'll be a great twist. If they steal that, by the way, I want money. Now, if we fire back to the just throwing the crews on screen, can we go over to the comments for a second before
Yeah.
we go too much further? Hello, everybody in the comments. Welcome, one and all. It's going to take me a second to read through, Paul. So if you catch one that you want to shout out, give it a shout out.
So I'll say like hi Irish Baron, hi Ethan, hi Brew, hi Nora, which goes congratulations on the other half, Ethan.
Yeah,
Which
congrats.
so we're gonna focus on the next generation and also Next Generation only kind of thing. I was thinking of going a little further down.
I've got some original series stuff in here too, Paul. The rules are much like we live our lives one video at a time. Dom lives his life a quarter mile at a time, and I'd like to think that as far as Star Trek goes, it's one show at a time. And there have been so many that we can just dip in and dip out. There are no rules. I don't want to be constrained, not in something as serious as this topic.
Okay. Good to know that you didn't feel like, holding down until. Are we gonna get like Chris Pratt?
Oh well, no. I stayed. Like,
Chris
again,
Pratt.
it's mostly Next Generation. I'm just squeezing in a Spock here and there.
Okay.
So I didn't want to be called a liar later on. I just want to call out Irish's comment. What is sad is that the car jump in Star Trek seem more realistic than the Fast and Furious one. Even down to the vehicle itself, for the car nerds out there who will know the Lycan Hypersports, which is really questionable in its actual reality. I've not seen one film of either, so they have that in common. Good man, Brew, you're going to enjoy this episode. Try and laugh where it feels appropriate, my friend. With that said, on with the show. Paul, villains, they've both got something massively in common as far as their ability from very early on in their movie franchises, to get famous actors to play villains. Mm-hmm. They've both got a really amazing, when you think about it, track record, particularly Star Trek.
That is true.
So, you get your Idris Elba's, your Charlize Theron's, your, what's his name there? Luke Evans. But then Christopher Plummer, Christopher Lloyd, and the almighty Khan, Ricardo Montalban. Like, they've got a roster, these guys.
I guess it's one of those things that the both franchises know, which we're getting into a little bit of a reality here. I think the both franchises know that your heroes are only as good as the villains, and if you have good villains, kind of thing, then you can play off the characters, and yeah, as you said, like, there's some great villains in both series, kind of thing. Like the one that you also don't have there, Jason Statham, who eventually does. I know you might have him later on.
No, it's more because he's definitely a villain. Now he's part of their crew, but I think they're going to have to reverse that because he killed the fan favorite in one of the movies. So he's definitely a villain, even though they're trying to make him not.
Yeah, but the latest film may. I don't want to spoil.
Oh, don't spoil Fast 9. Good God.
I'll be chastised. Other than us comparing them to Star Trek, I'll be chastised.
Yeah, spoiler warning. Because this is going to be such an accurate and in-depth analysis of the similarities between the Fast franchise and Star Trek, we may inadvertently give away the entire ending of the Fast franchise. So just be warned. Paul, I want to throw up some red shirts. Why do I want to throw up some red shirts? Can you explain to the people at home what a red shirt is, actually? So for Brew, who's never watched Star Trek.
Yeah, this is an interesting. So, from the original series, anyone who had a red shirt was essentially an expendable crewman that you only met in one episode. Now, that said, there are a small amount of red shirts that have survived and also gone on to become blue shirts, which is the science department, and red shirts is security, and which goes orange shirts, which are command and engineering. So, like, yeah. Later on in the Next Generation, red shirts become command and all that, and also the red shirt thing technically goes away a little bit, but you can still tell
in pop culture, red shirt is you're not making it into the rest of the franchise. And I would like to say that I was bigger than it, but I particularly picked red shirts just so I could do this and throw up Ja Rule, Bow Wow, and unfortunately for him, the star of Tokyo Drift, which is Fast and Furious 3, which actually happens in the timeline as Fast and Furious 6, I think. Lucas Black, the star who you're like, yeah, the most you're ever getting again is a cameo. And so far, that is the most he's gotten. Although, watching Fast and Furious 9 trailers, it does look like he's going to get to show up again. Which is really odd from a time continuity point, because he should be a hell of a lot younger than he is. But I think they give him a beard to hide it, because beards hide lots of things. Not that we'd know anything about that.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Because do you have what did they go? Tango. Maybe look at my list of characters again. Is he a red shirt? That's a question I need to have.
Is somebody
Tango Leo?
Who the hell's
He's
that?
I think he's in number 7. He's one of he's like one of the two other guys. He's one of the pair.
Oh, the two guys. Yeah, I didn't want to put them down as red shirts because it just felt really rough. Because well, they did get to come back very briefly, as well, which was nice. One of them did. Yeah, one of them did, didn't they? Gosh, I gotta rewatch Fast and Furious again. I also want to call out there's a guy called Jesse. And Jesse is key to that first episode. And this, if anybody can't see where this is going when it comes to Star Trek The Next Generation, I will be amazed. Paul, Jesse was the kid who, if you had to overnight some parts from Japan, he was the gifted, ADHD, gifted kid who could make your Turbo Supra do, a 9-second. He got himself in trouble needlessly. I am, of course, describing Will Wheaton himself, Little Crusher, and I know you're going to kill me for this because you're a fan of the Will Wheaton, the Little Crusher. I liked him too, but you have to admit, early days, he was the Jesse of Star Trek.
I like Will Wheaton, very very cool person, stuff like that. He does a board game podcast. And everything. He's very good. I hate Wesley Crusher.
Oh, you hate Wesley Crusher?
Wesley Crusher.
Ah.
Oh my god, I hate Wesley Crusher.
Oh well, then this has backfired in a different way than I thought. That's even better.
I hate that character.
I absolutely think, and sorry, I have a plaster on my thumb. That was me. Well, there you go. Then Jesse is definitely your Wesley. Anybody out there in the comments land that doesn't think that Jesse's a Wesley, God, that just sounds weird when I say it out loud. You can let us know how wrong we are in that one. Actually, Paul, speaking of comments, is there anything good in the comments that we should be calling back out? Because I can see loads of flooded in.
Family fighting family with new one. Dom fighting his brother. Star Trek was fighting his clone self. I think that counts.
That definitely counts. Yeah, we're nemesis. Yeah, Tom Hardy facing off against Jean-Luc. Yeah. That's a good point, actually. I didn't have that. You should. Yeah.
No, see, this is. I was. Oh yeah, okay. Because I was thinking Locutus, but that makes more sense.
That's an internal fight.
That makes that. Yeah. Well, no, because eventually, super nerdy now.
But I can go with you. Borg, we're only going to bore Brew. The rest of the internet has watched Star Trek, by the way, Brew. Just so you know.
Because Locutus, the Borg clone, gets made into a full-fledged person.
Oh,
remember that? They Luke has that whole Luke Picard has that whole horrible thing where the Borg come back and Locutus is there and he's just like, "What the?" The Borg and just he clones you.
Yeah, we like the cut of your jib, so we jibbed it up ourselves. The only sorry, go on.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, I only remember the Nemesis with Tom Hardy was because when you were saying Tom Hardy, I was just like, "What Star Trek was he?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, Star Trek Nemesis."
Yeah, a pre-Bane kind of. You look a much younger Jean-Luc Picard. If only the only Fast and Furious movie I've seen was Hobbs and Shaw, then you have yet to see a Fast and Furious movie, although you have seen one of the most over-the-top movies you will ever see in Hobbs and Shaw. I'm just concerned one... there's only seven Star Wars movies. Or 3 Indiana Joneses. I think people should be able to choose their own number when it comes to multiple entry franchises. I think you should always be able to walk up to somebody and go so how many Star Wars movies are there for you? And they'll be like, 5. Okay, I respect that. There are 5 for you. How many Indiana Joneses are there? There's 3 for me. I'm fine with telling people that I have 3.
I'm going to tell you now. if I walked to someone and I went, so how many Star Wars movies they went, and they went five, and I guessed that it was the three prequels, and then like
And the last two.
yeah, I'd be just like, you have concentration camp eyes. That's what you have, don't you?
The I look. I gotta say that's for a much deeper conversation. You know, you can pick your number, but you're never. It's not in polite company. You're not allowed to ask what makes up your three or your five.
Oh,
or your
I'm
seven.
going to be rude because if you say Temple of Doom and Crystal Skull, then you are a monster.
Well, I'll stand up for Temple of Doom. Crystal Skull. No,
I will too, but you can't say that there's two Indiana Jones and not pick the one of the
that's
actual
true.
three.
Yeah. If Raiders is not one of your choices, then there's something seriously wrong with you. Same thing with Crusade. You're right. Another episode, perhaps. Brew is defending himself, and he's quite right to call me out because I called him out. And he says, quite simply, Brew is greater than the rest of the internet. Now, unfortunately, I would keep messing with my camera. I'm sorry. And Brew, you are greater than the rest of the internet. So, fair play. But you know what? You should still watch Star Trek. It's really bloody good. You should watch Fast and the Furious. It's really
ridiculous.
Entertaining. Did I pull that one back around?
I'll go except for 2, 3, and whatever the fuck's Shaw and Hobbs is.
I know you gotta admit that was entertaining. I'm not even sure why yet, but I know it was entertaining. I remember being through it. Now I'm calling out some stuff from the old show. This is where I deviate, Paul. I've thrown up the almighty trio.
Okay.
Bones, Spock, Kirk, the wonderful three friends, and I noticed that they actually started out disliking each other. At least two of them. There was a bit of mistrust there, but in the end, everybody was massively friends. So to be fair, it was just the two lads weren't so sure about Spock, but they all ended up being friends. You don't think all three of those ended up being friends?
No, I'm trying to figure out who out of the Fast and the Furious group that you're choosing. Can I make a guess?
Oh, I've just clicked it, so you can. You've got like 10 seconds before you see it.
It's going to be Dom, The Rock, and Jason Statham.
You were close. If it's come up on your screen, I picked Paul Walker. So Dom, Brian O'Connor, and Corona. That's the holy trinity of Fast and Furious. Because
did no one like Corona when they were?
Well, that's the thing. It was one of those things of, you know, there was a lot of mistrust, but two of them had to be really close, which was Kirk and Bones. And as far as I'm concerned, no one was closer with Dom than Corona. I haven't really taken this that seriously. I'm sorry, folks. But that's why I'm now swiftly going to move on.
I like how I made it. I was just like, oh, it's definitely like, yeah, The Rock, you know, Vin Diesel and Jason Statham's characters. That definitely makes sense to me.
It absolutely does make sense. That's not necessarily what I'm here for, this whole sense thing of which you speak. I'm calling out another one. Another big crossover. Both had a movie where they search for somebody with amnesia. You know, they both lost one of the main people in their crew, one of the founding members, and when they found them, that person had a memory. In one case, amnesia. In the case of Letty in Fast and the Furious, who is Dom's girlfriend, wife, whatever their relationship status is now, she had amnesia. And Spock was quite literally reborn on a Genesis planet. I think I said that quite well in the end. I thought I was going to take a bit more explanation.
I was going to say, yeah, you did that well. Yeah, no need to explain we might need to explain Letty's amnesia, but the Genesis planet thing and Spock being reborn. You did that well. You got that.
Who doesn't get that? Yeah. So, there you go. And also, they share that they both quickly... yeah, sorry, Brew. They both quickly moved on from this in a couple of movies' time and just never really mention it again. And there seems to be no great fallout from said amnesia or complete memory wipe. So, yeah, they're pretty good at moving on from that stuff. And they're also pretty good at moving on. They've both gone through different rosters massively. And this is where I had to bring in the other shows. You've got Fast and the Furious 1 with everybody, including Leon and Vince, that have often been forgotten. Fast and the Furious 3, Tokyo Drift. a different cast altogether. Then they start bringing in The Rock. You know, you had Tyrese show up. You're swapping people in and out, left, right, and center. Star Trek did it right though. They were like, one crew, two crews, three crews, different ship. Get onto Voyager. Maybe now a deep space station. What am I missing here? There's got to be something else in the Star Trek canon.
Nope.
So it's 3 Enterprises, a Voyager, a Deep Space, 4 Enterprises. I keep forgetting Discovery. Because there was Enterprise as well. So there was 4 shows based on the Enterprise. There was
the Enterprise shows up in Discovery, but you mean Star Trek Enterprise?
I mean the Scott Bakula.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quantum leap track, as I like to think of it.
Yeah. Which is surprisingly more adept than people might think if they haven't seen that show or Quantum Leap. Man, there's a lot of time travel in both of those shows.
Really
yeah, I get you now. Yeah.
Go for it.
So I was going to say that maybe like Tokyo Drift was more like, I would say, Enterprise, just because I'm not a big fan of Enterprise or Tokyo Drift. But yeah, no, definitely there's other, because like Star Trek Voyager has a lot of original crew members appearing and stuff like that, and so yeah.
And they definitely move themselves around. And look, Paul, I'm going to throw it over to the casts in a second, and let's just have fun with some stuff. You go first.
I have one funny. This is going to be real bad. I have one funny, like, kind of thing between the two of them. Both of them have have a movie that involves God. Yeah.
I'm playing through the Fast and the Furious movies in my head, and I'm trying to work out where God comes in. Oh, is it called God's Eye? Is one of the boondoggles called God's Eye?
Yeah. One of the Deus Ex Machina devices is called God's Eye. It's the one with Charlize Theron.
God.
I think it is. I think Charlize Theron, or it's the one before that.
No, maybe it is the one before that. It's the one before that where they
introduce the hacker. Because Charlize Theron is able to hide from the God's Eye. That's the one that has the Rock's first. I think first kind of.
They're all one massive Fast and Furious pizza in my head.
True.
So, my last big crossover to mention is the fact that they're both set in space. Because if you've watched the latest trailer, they are. In this Fast and the Furious, no spoiler warning needed, thanks to the trailer, I was able to get some screen grabs. They build a rocket car, and at some point, I think it's Tyrese and Ludacris are going into space in a car. Because, and this was famously talked about, the thing was, by the time we make 10 movies, we're going to have, Dom Toretto in space. And apparently they're doing it. Now, I have nothing against this. I have nothing against this at all. If Picard can be driving around doing Fast and Furious jumps on a planet, then why wouldn't you send some of the Fast and Furious crew into space? My thing is, they still apparently have one more movie they want to make after this. Where do they go? Surely you should have ended on the one where you went to space. I think they've just set the bar too high for themselves in a ridiculous stake.
Next one's going to be a DeLorean that can go back in time.
Oh God, time travel. Although somebody did say, and I saw the headline, writers believe they could make a Jurassic Park Fast and the Furious crossover movie work. So what do you do when you can't outdo going to space? You get a Raptor in a Ford Raptor. You get a T-Rex in a Ram TRX. Let's face it, car companies are using dinosaur names for their stuff now anyway, so why wouldn't you? I just want to point out that, like, Patrick came to me like a couple of weeks ago and just went, we need to do something for the Fast and Furious thing. I'm gonna let this mull over. Star Trek and Fast and Furious are the same thing. Mulled over that for a while and stuff like that, and now you hit me with this Jurassic Park Fast and the Furious thing. Only saw it the other day, man. Only saw it the other day. If I had known that somebody had suggested that, That's what this episode would be. It would be about drawing lines between Jurassic Park and Fast and the Furious, because I think it could be just as much fun and would probably be just as valid.
I can't. Yeah, because it'd be really weird to have Chris Pratt. It's Chris Pratt, right?
Yeah, no, it's
Chris
right, Chris.
Pratt.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt, which we said last week. There's so many Chris's. Chris Pratt and Dom and Brock, and there's so much you could do with that one. But I'm still loving the Star Trek one because there's so much that you can go on with this.
Well, and to the comments we should go then, because I think people are throwing in some. I can see Irish says Search for Spock was my first Star Trek movie. And the only one my family owned. You were lucky that you owned one, actually. I recorded them from TV as they came on. And I remember going to my local video store to rent, I think it might have been 3 or 4, to kind of watch Star Trek, watch a Star Trek movie. I was mad into the Star Trek movies, and obviously the old original series was being replayed on TV ad nauseum back then too. So it was good times. Good times. Actually, do you know what was your first Star Trek experience? Do you remember that?
The first Star Trek experience?
As in, what do you remember as your first watching of Star Trek and going, oh yeah, I'm into this?
I have no idea. I was going to say I know which of the movies I saw first.
Oh.
It'd probably be this Next Generation, probably the start of the Next Generation.
First Contact.
Was when I was just like, this is cool.
I gotta say, you did well. It's one of the best movies.
The first movie I ever saw was the motion picture.
The original, yeah. Star Trek 1 for anybody who needs numbers.
I just mean the original. I just meant the original series, or sorry, Next Generation is probably the one that I saw and was just like, Star Trek's where I am,
That's cool.
I live there now.
That's where this is where I'm gonna live. I gotta say, there's a nice little circular thing, not related to Fast and the Furious, but Irish calls out whale movies seem to release 10 years apart. Search for Spock in 1984 and Free Willy in 1993. For anybody who isn't into their Star Trek and does know Free Willy, there is excuse me,
sneeze counter.
There is a whole Star Trek movie where whales are being brought from the past to talk to an alien race in the future that seem to be speaking in whale noise. And there's a fairly big gamble, not really in the time travel, because that's all sci-fi stuff. I believe that they could time travel. I was just like, are you sure you've picked the right whale? Because what if you bring the right sarcastic whale that's like, hey, I can understand the alien language, and the alien language is like, be nice to us or we're going to end all of existence. And that whale being like, yeah, go on, I bet you won't. So they took many, many chances with all of our lives.
Or you just get an asshole whale who's just like, I came from the past and I'm now in the future, and the reason I'm in the future is because there's no more goddamn whales. So you should kill all these people and make more whales.
You went there, and I respect that. But power to the whales.
A genocidal whale.
Well, I should have read the next comment next. Whale Rider in 2002 and Big Miracle, which was about whales, I'm assuming, in 2012. Whale versus Predator for 2023 then. It's, 2022 would make more sense. But yes, I think everything versus Predator eventually. I'm looking forward to Jurassic Park versus Predator.
I'm going to give it to the whale.
Whale versus
I'm just
Predator.
saying. Yeah.
Again, it's about where they fight. Are you doing
whale wants them more.
Yeah, unless they drop him in, like in a forest, in which case, he'd have to cover himself in dirt, because then the predator couldn't see him. I still can't forgive that moment. Anybody who's seen our old shows knows what I'm talking about. I got money on whales. I saw Orca, and that did scare the crap out of me. Jaws is one of my favourite films, but Orca was actually the one that scared me. It's about the killer whale.
I'm really glad that me and Irish Bauer are both on the whale side.
Yeah.
Not the deadly predator with the plasma casters and ridiculously sharp weapons. Yeah, whales.
You have to be. Remind me not to touch my camera ever again.
Stop touching the camera.
Thanks, buddy. So Fast and Furious is going to cross over with Jurassic World. God only knows. Yeah, they could at some point just mash every franchise in the world together and call it what's not an MCU.
Would that just be like dinosaurs and Cadillacs, essentially?
Oh, the
Remember that
video
old
game. I
cartoon?
remember Dinosaurs and Cadillac.
It's also a cartoon, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Is that what it is? Because like Cadillacs are pretty much, you know, cars better than I do. Is Cadillacs just muscle cars just with fancy wings on the back of them?
Cadillacs, and I'm not going to get super nerdy car boring here because with Star Trek and Fast and Furious, there could be enough nerding out tonight. But essentially, Cadillacs are like they're the American idea of big luxury. So they are muscly, but not muscle cars. They're more about the idea of executive luxury status kind of stuff.
So
But-
the American Bentley.
Kind of, yeah. Actually,
Rolls-Royce.
that's a pretty good way of looking at it. They're like the American Bentley, or at least they were once upon a time. And to all my American friends, they may well be sometime again. I just don't think so. I have a soft spot for Cadillac because they're quite a storied and historied brand. But that's car stuff, and I'm not allowed to do that here. Casts, Paul. Can I kick us off with one, and then let's jump around. I'm going to throw 4 people up on screen. And those 4 people are for the Fast and the Furious, Paul Walker and Letty, who was mentioned earlier as somebody who's gone through a bout of amnesia. Now, obviously, I paired her with Spock for the aforementioned amnesia storyline, but also because they're key and central to that power dynamic at the top of it all. There where a lot of the love in the show comes from, because there's a lot of love between Dom and Letty. But there's also a lot of love, and my favourite line in the history of Star Trek, possibly one of my favourite lines in the history of cinema. I have been, and always will be, your friend. And if you're a Star Trek person, you know that moment. And it makes me well up even thinking about it right now. Because there's a lot of love between Spock and Kirk. A lot of love. Then, of course, you just got Paul Walker and Riker. Paul Walker would probably do the Riker maneuver onto a chair if he was still with us. So, first of all, rest in peace, Paul Walker. But second of all, they were the second stars, as in the number 2, even though one of them was called number 1. They were the number 2 in the show, but in a lot of ways they outshone the number 1 anytime they were around.
I'm going to do a dark humor kind of one. I think Paul Walker's character is Data.
You're going Data, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find my Data.
And I'm gonna give anyone kudos for figuring out the dark humor part.
Oh God! You know what? If we're cancelled in like 6 weeks' time because somebody's worked this out and wrote, Paul, you'll have to tell me afterwards. Everybody else who probably has got it and I haven't. Please forgive us for whatever was just suggested.
I'll give you the first part. Paul Walker's character seems to have really bad social like abilities. Like he's really awkward around everybody. It just feels really weird. And Data is also the same way, but Data does it in a comedic kind of way.
Oh.
The dark humor part, yep. Anyone can figure that one out. Kudos to you.
Well, I'll give it to you in the woodenness of it all. And yes, one was much more intentional than the other. I'm not even going to start guessing live on air at any dark side of anything. But you know who I picked to match out with Data? And I actually matched him out with 2 people specifically. Okay. I picked Han. Han from Fast and the Furious. For anybody who hasn't watched any of the Fast and the Furious, Han is the coolest guy. He is the reason that you cannot ignore Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Also, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, its own thing. Anybody who hates it too much shouldn't. Get with the program. It's its own thing and it's good in its own way. But Han is the coolest coolest character. So cool, in fact, that they brought him into the main timeline from that movie. In a weird way, because he actually died in that movie, which is why they... Oh, Paul, I'm going to explain this really quickly. So they messed with their own timeline just so they could bring a really cool character from a movie that ended up being a mistake There you go.
As it
For them.
oh
Yeah.
okay, I was just gonna be like that character's really cool. It shouldn't be a mistake.
No, but
Yeah.
where they wanted to go with Tokyo Drift, they didn't end up going, and then they're like, "Oh, but we definitely want Han, so we'll set all our other movies before Tokyo Drift so that he can be in them because he dies in Tokyo Drift." Spoiler warning. Also, he dies again. The guy's been killed twice in Fast and Furious, and guess what? He's back in the next one. So the reason I've put him and both Sulu and Data kind of the parallels, they're sort of the cool ones, but they're also the ones that you do not want to see die again. I think they're the ones that you'd be like, I don't want you to kill. No one wants Data to be deactivated or killed again. It's happened enough. Same thing with Sulu. You don't. He's the one you don't want to say goodbye to in that kind of way. So I really hope that they don't finish the triple and kill Han a third time on screen in Fast and Furious, because that would just be too hard for me now at this stage. I'm not even that invested in the film franchise, but I really like that character, and Sung Kang, the guy who plays him, just seems like the nicest chap in the world.
Irish Bauer got it.
Oh God, is it because Data dies in Star Trek Nemesis? Oh, hey. I'm drawing that parallel safely here. For everybody who hasn't worked it out yet, Paul Walker, the guy who played Brian O'Connor, died in real life. It was, as all deaths are, tragic in its surprise, and there are many feelings as to how and why it happened that we're not getting into here. But what I will say is, I'm glad somebody wrote it in so that I didn't have it run in the back of my head going, what did I not get here? Also, can we just take a moment for the death of comedy? Because, Brew, you may not have seen either of these franchises, but have you seen Brew's comment? It's just not right that whales don't speak Welsh. As somebody living in Ireland, Brew, you shouldn't be making whales speaking Welsh jokes. We gave that up when we were 4. Like that, you expect it from others, but not Brew. That's terrible. I'm only messing with you, dude.
If you're better than the internet, better jokes, man.
Exactly. Brew greater than internet. I've thrown up 4 more people. Tyrese from Fast and Furious, and Mia, Dom's sister, and then Bones and Beverly Crusher. So the doctors. Why are these people analogues for the doctors? Well, Tyrese is Bones. He's the Bones version of the Doctor, because he's like my God, man. We're car thieves, not bank robbers. I'm not doing a Bones impression. I'm not even trying to. But he is the one whose role it now is to go, my God, we can't do this, knowing full well they're going to go ahead and do it anyway. Yeah, that's... he is that guy. That's his entire purpose in the franchise now. To have a moment where he's like, yeah, no, we definitely shouldn't do the really, really silly thing that we all know we're about to do.
Yeah. Like that's I agree with that kind of thing, because also if you do think about it later on when he doesn't really have any money left, kind of thing, because he's just like, I have expensive taste, and the whole reason that Bones is called Bones is because he's only been left with his bones.
Only got my bones.
Which is a new age Star Trek version, but it's still very good.
Yeah. Also, minor detour. I really liked Carl Urban. I really like Carl Urban in most things, but I think if anybody was going to do Bones, I'm glad it was him. So fair play. A little hot tip out there. I'm glad you agree, actually, because
Carl Urban's really, really good as Bones. Like, I really like him as that. Like, they definitely got the whole kind of mentality and you can definitely like the whole naysaying kind of way from him and stuff like that, which is great.
Does it feel weird to you, Paul, all of a sudden that I'm just realizing we've never done a Star Trek episode, and yet we're both into it, and yet we're doing a Fast and the Furious episode, and I have openly been derisive of something because I love car culture and I love Fast and Furious, both of those things for different reasons because they're not exactly connected for me. It feels weird that this is how we finally bring Star Trek into the channel. You know what I mean?
That is true.
Feels dirty. Mia and Beverly Crusher, different kind of doctor. Beverly Crusher is the one that's standing there that knows better and is just kind of looking at people doing some stupid things sometimes. Instead of saying you can't do it or you won't do it, she just helps them along the way. So they're definite analogues for me. I don't think, other than Actually, we did cover Star Trek once. Beverly Crusher's sex ghost.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Paul, do you want to explain to the kind people at home what Beverly Crusher sex ghost is in reference to? Because it was you that brought it. It was you that brought it to that discussion. And I think we were talking about weirdest moments in TV or something like that.
I'd like to point out that you're the one who brought that up. I brought up the other one. I brought up the other weird one, kind of thing. You're the one who reminded me of Beverly Crusher sex ghost, but I will explain it. I will take that bullet. Yeah, in one of the first seasons, the first season of Next Generation, or one of the
first or second, yeah,
or first third. Or second season, which is Beverly, has sex with a ghost.
Yeah, that was easier to explain than I thought, actually, Paul.
It's like an artifact that essentially has some kind of like being or something that she can only see, and then eventually she has sex with it. So there you
go. You know, I think we're upping our explanation skills massively. I'm just noticing that somebody has finally cottoned on that, yes, Paul was in Fast and the Furious, and now Paul is hosting a podcast with me. Paul?
Yep.
What's Dom really like? Is it really Corona, or is that actually a light beer? Because I have my suspicions. I doubt the man likes carbs. Look at his muscles.
All I know is he has an absolutely fantastic
Careful. Internet
Warhammer collection. Anyway,
there you go. Is that what you kids are calling it now, your Warhammer collection? I've thrown up Ludacris, Paul. Luda being one of your favourites in the franchise, as far as I know. You mentioned it once that you have. I actually think that, fair play to him. We were talking about musicians turned actors. I think he pulls it off well. He adds a little bit of fun, and I think what he's given to deliver, he delivers with a certain amount of kind of ludicrous gusto and class.
Yeah, like that's the episode of actors who became singers and singers who become actors. Ludacris is one that I'm very much singing the praise of, even if although he is in the Fast and the Furious kind of its franchise, his character is one of my favorite characters in the entire series. You know,
yeah,
he's a smart, capable person.
He is not, for a guy that's supposed to be a hacker, he's not pocket protector and glasses. The old school version of what nerds used to be looked at in the cinema. Also, remember, car people. We're just car nerds. That's all we are. There's nothing cool about car folk. And you all know that. I just want you all to know that we know it too. So it would not make any sense to be punching down at actual tech nerds. Because car nerds and tech nerds share way more than they differ. He's obvious. Like, I've paired him with the two engineers, the Scotties and the Geordies of this world. For the element of cool and that element of I can get this done for you. Now, don't get me wrong, Scotty was a wee bit of a cheeky fella, as he explained himself. You know, always tell him it'll take 6 hours. If you can get it done in 3, then you look like a hero. I don't know if there's a good documented case of that in any of the Fast and the Furious movies. But Ludacris is definitely, his character, Tej, is definitely the one that pulls stuff through.
Yeah.
He also had the worst introduction of all the people in all the films, because he got introduced in the worst of the Fast and the Furious movies. He was brought in Fast and Furious 2.
Was he?
Too Fast, Too Furious. Yeah. And he has a phenomenally massive fro in it, and is not the Tej you would associate him with today. They saw their mistake, Paul. They fixed the character and they moved on. Too Fast, Too Furious. If you're gonna say that, and here we're back to our numbers. Let's say there are currently 10 filmed Fast and the Furious movies, soon to be 11. Okay. If you were going to say, I only recognize 9 of them, Too Fast, Too Furious is the one I will always assume people are kicking out, because it is by far the worst of the movies, by a long shot. A long shot, dude. So would you like to give the ladies a moment in the sun, because I picked these 3 people not by accident. Gal Gadot, and Deanna Troi, and Uhura. So, what do they all have in common? They're all female characters that were woefully underserved. Less so for Deanna Troi, more so for the other 2. Gal Gadot, her character is actually pretty damn cool in the movie she appears in. But she is treated as eye candy way too often. No surprise for Fast and Furious movies. But when it comes to the idea of eye candy, Star Trek's better than that. It's better than that until it's not. And that's where the Deanna Troi link comes in here, where they were sticking her in miniskirts and, all sorts of tops and stuff. I don't think, realistically, Uhura was ever given the proper respect she deserved. But okay, different time, and I get that.
I'll say this: Ahura is one of my favorite characters, and there's a very funny. It is in the movie with Gauze, and her doing the whole like dance thing in the deserts to get their attention. That is hilarious, and it's very much kind of like it's a nice also nods between Scotty and her kind of thing.
Yeah.
But she is one of the unsung heroes within the Star Trek universe kind of thing. I will say this though, I am not a fan of Deanna Troi.
I can understand that up to a point. I definitely can.
Like her best episodes are when her mother is in them. You know,
actually,
I'm just saying
her mother, the lady who played her mother, is brilliant. A little side note, the fan dance where Uhura does the distracting song and fan dance. She's singing at that point, in the movie, and she didn't find out that they overdubbed and got somebody else to sing the song until after, if I'm thinking of the right one. And that actually annoyed Nichelle Nichols.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit of trivia I picked up somewhere. Could be completely wrong, because I haven't checked it. Didn't think I'd be talking about it right now. Could be getting it completely wrong, but I think I'm on that. Internet folk can tell me if I'm wrong at some stage.
Yeah, you can definitely. Yeah, someone on the internet just fact check that.
Yeah,
just so we know.
Now I'd like to call out the most obvious. I'm gonna just do my if Ewoks live on Endor, you must quit. This is my closing statement. Worf, I'm throwing up the rock right now, and I'm putting a pasty on his head, because essentially that's what they've done. They've taken the pasty off Worf's head, and they made. If you watch the introduction of the Rock into the Fast and the Furious franchise, in his first like 3 or 4 sentences, he uses the phrase "woman" as a directive. He's basically Klingon straight away. Now, don't get me wrong, they changed the character slightly along the way, but to be fair, Star Trek does the same with Worf. He gets some dimension too, but there's way too many similarities. They can both kick my ass, although that applies to pretty much everybody you've seen on screen today. I want to say pretty much. I'm only excluding Will Wheaton. I even think Jesse could take me down. Oh, Will Wheaton now probably could. Back then, I don't know. I could have gone toe to toe with Stand By Me Kid, maybe. I think we're about the same age. I'm not too sure.
I think I could take Spock.
Like Leonard Nimoy now that he's passed.
No, I meant Spock. I could take Spock.
You gonna avoid lobster hands? Like no more Vulcan next stage?
So annoying that he'll just leave.
He can't stand being around your illogical ways anymore, that sort of thing.
Oh my god, that's it. Just constantly do paradoxes and illogical things constantly around him when you're fighting, and also sing the song of when Kirk and him fight constantly.
If anybody wants to see us do really stupid episodes from now on, maybe just keep suggesting that we have the different people from the various Star Trek universe fight each other, and we'll take bets on who'd win. We already did it with Godzilla vs. Kong because they were making a dumbass movie about it. Maybe we don't even need the dumbass movie to just come up with these crazy ideas. But Paul, is there anybody in the cast that you wanted to call out, or casts that may have some crossover?
So I'm going to put in Q and Kurt Russell's character, Mr. Nobody. I think they're very similar in the way because they have a lot of toys, amazing amount of toys that they get to play with, kind of thing. Their nonchalant kind of action towards everything that is currently going on seems to be borderline like godliness. Well, on Q's side, he like kind of thing. But like Mr. Nobody just seems to have a constant funness when he's around. Like when they get even when they get attacked, and like he's just walking away like nothing, kind of thing. Um, and also he is incredibly powerful within the universe. So I feel that's my thing of bringing him together.
Both played by my favorite actors to appear in any of them. Although Robert Picardo, who plays Doctor in Voyager, is up there too. But I love John DeLance, and Q is my favorite Star Trek character. I like just flat out, hands down. It's like, who's your favorite? Yeah, Q. Q is my absolute favorite character in all of Star Trek, and Kurt Russell is, as I've said multiple times before, is the guy I wanted to be my friend when I was a kid. I really thought someday I'd get to hang out with him, because he just seemed like the coolest guy in the world. I think that's a really good call. You can absolutely draw parallels. The omnipotent Q, the all eternal everything, and a guy called Mr. Nobody, who literally is Q-like in his powers. I think that's a brilliant pull. Do you want me to throw up some other little cheeky ones?
Yeah, so another one that I would have is which goes Khan and Charlize Theron's character,
Cypher.
Yeah, and so much because they have done irreparable damage to the main character or the captains, kind of thing. Like Charlize Theron murders Elena the character's name is Elena Nieves.
It's Eliza Pataki. It's Chris Hemsworth's wife in real life. For anybody who's only knows people through their famous spouses.
Yeah, she's the local cop in Brazil, is it? Yeah. Kind of thing. She sadly gets murdered.
Oh, she's red shirt all the way. She was on my red shirt graphic at one point, but then I took her out because they kind of brought her back one too many times for her to really be a red shirt. But she only technically missed that though.
Yeah, I get that, and also like so the whole thing is also that she's with Dom for a considerable amount of time, and then that's like, and then in Khan, obviously Khan like gets Spock killed. So two characters in which the captains of the crews are very close to and stuff like that. So
and yeah, let's face it, Khan has been immortalized by William Shatner's Khan shout, which for me will be immortalized forever by Family Guy, doing it where instead of having Shatner's actual voice go Khan, they just have a goat go and it amazingly works perfectly. It really does look like that's the noise that should be coming out of his mouth. Paul, I wanna throw it back to you. We've got literally 2 minutes and we're closing this one out, if that's all right with you, before the hour hits. Because this has, without a doubt, been our most ridiculous and most spuriously unneeded video we've ever made or probably ever will made. And you know what? Damn proud of you, brother. Damn proud of you. Happy to be part of this.
Engaged, number one.
I am very happy to be part of something this ridiculous. I hope some people out there manage to find the fun or joy in this, because it did really come from the dumbest idea in the world, and Paul was like, yeah, why not? Which I will forever regret and be grateful for.
It grew on me so much, I'll be honest with you, because like, lads, look, everybody watching, if you choose a franchise that's ridiculous and then start linking it with another franchise that you really like, you start seeing similarities that you didn't think you'd see. And believe me, I saw a lot more. Like there's Star Trek characters who become good guys, and there's Star Trek villains who become good guys, and in Fast and the Furious, there's several characters who are bad guys who become good guys, and it's so ridiculous.
And just I want to say it because before somebody shouts it out in the comments, and like, subscribe, share, comment down below. If you're watching in the future, we love you too. Please do comment down below. Somebody's going to go, oh, but why didn't you mention that Justin Lin, famously a director in the Fast and the Furious franchise, directed multiple entries? He also directed Star Trek Discovery or Beyond, which has like a motorcycle jump scene and stuff in it. So
Oh,
the guy from Fast and Furious directed a Star Trek movie. It's like, why didn't they mention that? We didn't mention it because that's too serious. This is ridiculous, goddammit. Seriously ridiculous. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us on this quarter light speed at a time. I don't know what I'm saying.
I was going to say quarter warp like speed at a time, because light speed makes it more Star Wars.
That's true. Quarter warp at a time. Paul, I have loved it. I want to thank all the commenters.
It's very fun.
Next week, Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park says Irish. You're on. But maybe not, because I think we already have something for next week. But maybe the week after. Who knows? Paul, say goodbye to the people at home.
Bye, people at home. I'm...
Go for it, please.
No, I'm fine.
Oh, well, then I'm going to close this with our traditional. I have been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And we have been Hear Us Out. Boldly going to a Fast and Furious where no one's furiously been fast before.
In the comments below, which characters is Patrick the captain and I'm the number one? Okay. Or is he the Dom? Is he the Dom and I'm the Paul? Damn it.
No,
goodbye.
I think you'll find you're the Wesley Crusher. Oh no, I didn't say it. Bye everybody.